Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Lorraine Taylor and this is Do Brand You. It's all about you here. It's about you unleashing your potential in every season of life. And today is Friday Chat Day, and in Fridays I always like to just go behind the scenes and share with you how I'm navigating my journey and anything that I can share with you that food for thought, inspiration, strategies, solutions, whatever it can be. I try to share that with you. Now, recently I've been sharing in the last few Friday chats things connected to kind of my business, the refreshing of my brand and that type of thing. And today I want to kind of shift gears and I want to share with you and talk about a really important concept, and that is the concept of hope. And the thing is, if we lose hope, then we lose the ability to unleash our potential and to live in a way that we are using our gifts and talents to add value to the people around us. So, and like even this week, I go on the new, you get your news feeds and you see some of the stories that are happening. You see a lot of the unrest. You see, kind of political things, environmental climate changes like hurricanes. You see earthquakes. You see just disasters. You see stories in the news that are so sad. And you begin to, when that becomes overwhelming, then you begin to feel like you're insignificant, that those problems are so big that your little contribution is insignificant. But the reality is that we can't let that happen because hope is essential. Without it, we lose our spark that drives us to unleash our potential. And when we lose that, we lose our connection to our purpose and the ability to be the best authentic version of ourselves and to live that life that we desire and deserve. So today I'm going to talk about why hope matters, the science behind it, and how you can keep hope alive today and in the week ahead. So, or I should also just kind of add in there, if you also have a conversation with somebody, I also want to share these thoughts because sometimes we are in conversations. I do some coaching and sometimes I'm coaching individuals and they've lost hope. And so I've built up strategies that I can use and I understand the power of hope so I can convey some things to them to assist them in their challenges and struggles with feeling insignificant and the fact that they may lose hope. So, I want to just kind of think about first of all, just the science behind hope. So the fascinating thing is that hope isn't just this like fluffy little silly emotion that we might feel, but the hope is actually powerful. In neuroscience, we know that hope activates the brain's prefrontal cortex. And our prefrontal cortex is responsible for decision making and problem solving. And that is why hopeful people are more likely to take action, and that hopeful people actually think differently. So they've done studies on people's brains, and people who feel hopeful, they have their prefrontal cortex is activated. And because of that, they are activating the area of their brain that has to do with decision making and problem solving. So when we lose hope, we lose that ability in our brain to use it to its best and to not make good decisions and not really get active in our problem solving. In psychology, we can look at why, what does psychology tell us about hope? And studies have shown that hopeful people are actually more resilient. Researchers found that hopeful students perform better in school, not because they're smarter, but because they believe that they can improve and put in an effort and that it will make it happen. So this is the thing. That's why it's just so important to understand that hope isn't a little emotion, but hope is this huge thing that affects who we are. And when we are hopeful, we can unleash our potential. In biology, it has been shown that hope lowers stress by reducing cortisol. That's the hormone that is released during times of fear or anxiety. And hope is also been seen to boost endorphins. Endorphins are those things that make us feel more positive and motivated. So in short, hope isn't just nice to have. It's not a fluffy little feeling. It's a need to have if you want to thrive. If you want to do the best version of you, if you want to live and unleash your potential in every season of your life, you're going to go through changes. You're going to have things, and you're going to go into places of your life that are challenging. You're going to get news in your feed that becomes overwhelming. But when it does, you need to find strategies to not lose hope. Let me share a quick story that I think can really illustrate this. So a friend of mine was going through a really tough time. She was laid off from her job. She was struggling with her health, and she started feeling really, really lost. And she said to me one day, I just don't see a way forward. But I talked to her and I got her to just assure me that she was not going to think about that long road forward, but that she was going to take one small step every day. So she started volunteering at a local community garden. And at first it seemed really insignificant because she was just kind of just going there, pulling weeds and planting flowers. But over time, it gave her a sense of purpose. She made new connections, she gained confidence, and eventually she found a job in an environmental education, which she loves. She went out to volunteer in something that she loves to do. When we do what we love to do, our skills and talents blossom, even if it isn't something we've used before. She hadn't been working in a garden for a while. She didn't have her own garden, but she just wanted to be there. And so it led to something else. And what changed was that hope. That small step gave her hope, and that hope led to more motivation. So how can you keep hope alive in your life? And I was trying to think of what can I do this week, because I've kind of lost. It's not that I've lost hope, but I've definitely been overwhelmed by the news, the reality of the political situations in some of the countries and the people that are living there. My heart goes out to them. I'm in these places, and what can I do? And I have three things that I can share with you that I always do. So the first one is, when I get to feeling this way, I stop and I say, you need to limit. I limit my news intake, and this is the one thing. I talked about on the last, in a different context, but in the last Friday chat, I think it was the last one or two times ago, talked about being in a cocoon. And I think you need to realize that you need to find that little cocoon space. And when you lose hope, bang, red flag goes up. I'm losing hope. I'm starting to feel insignificant. I'm starting to be overwhelmed by the news feed, by the negative stories, by the things that are happening. Go into your cocoon. Just block off the news for a while. And if you feel like you do need to keep up to date with certain things, put time limits on it. Like people that are even in natural disasters, like an earthquake or something, you can't listen to the bad news all the time that keeps getting generated, but you will need to kind of stay up to date with the news so you can be aware of it. But you can limit that, and you can make sure that you're in a space where you can manage that. And the other thing is, like with the story that I said, if you are feeling insignificant, don't feel insignificant, because you're here for a reason. You are on this earth for a reason. You have skills and talents. Everyone does. When I talk about personal branding or being brand you, do brand you, I've had a few people say, oh, isn't that so selfish to be thinking about yourself? And the reality is to do brand you, to do the best version of yourself, you have to realize first that you have skills and talents to share with others. And it's only when you realize that you have skills and talents to share with others that you can begin to look out and go, oh my gosh, everybody else has skills and talents to share too. Like, I'm not the only one in the world with skills and talents to share. Every person I meet has them. Some people are, working to increase their ability to use them, to find ways that they can add value to others with their skills and talents. So the thing is, remember that if you start feeling overwhelmed and you feel insignificant, just take that one step. Just like my friend who, if you are in that stage, just like my friend, don't try to do a whole lot. Just take one step at a time. If you've sunk down that far, just take one step at a time. And I'm telling you, every single step you take, celebrate your win. Celebrate your win. Like my friend, I told her, I'd give you another example actually. My older sister, it was a few years ago now, her husband passed away suddenly, which is horrible. And, certainly she lost so much hope. And so I would regularly connect with her on the phone, and I would be talking to her. And I would just always have her, be really upbeat about it, because she was really getting down on herself, because she just couldn't bring herself out of just feeling, so overwhelmed with grief. And the reality is that grief is a process. And I knew that she needed time to grieve. And so I said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't try to go back to your old self yet. It's going to take time. I said, but just try to do one thing. And, we used to just have some really good laughs, because sometimes I'd call her up and she goes, well, I got out of bed. I didn't get out of my pajamas, but I got out of bed. And then sometimes it's like, well, I got out of bed and I actually took a shower today, or and so celebrate that. Whatever, it doesn't matter how small, but just if you're feeling overwhelmed, figure out, okay, I need to get out of this. How am I going to get out of this? And take one step at a time. And then the other big thing is surround yourself with hopeful people. I'm telling you that who you surround yourself with. And when I talk about surrounding yourself with, some of you live by yourself. You're far from your families. I mean, I've certainly been in that situation where I'm not around anybody. But today we surround ourselves with the podcasts that we listen to, the news, that the information that we get, the people we connect to on social media, and the people that we connect to in different shops. I remember when I was, when I was in the Seychelles and I had my first child, and she was crying all the time, and I was like beside myself what to do with this child. And there was this lady, her name was Jill, and she also had a young child, and she was just the most positive, happy mother I'd ever seen, and here I was struggling with becoming a mother myself. And I literally, and bless her, I would go over every day and just have a cup of tea with her about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And she welcomed me all the time. I think she knew what I was going through. But I was just like, I was just going to surround myself with somebody else that was in my situation and was really positive. And so I would always go away and just feel that hit of adrenaline again, and that hopefulness, the endorphins kicking in. So surround yourself not only in the physical connections that you have. I mean, it can even go to the point. I was coaching someone, and they were talking a little bit about this, although anyway, I was coaching them, and they were talking about how they actually went to a certain shop just because the people there were just like more happy, So whatever it takes. So here's the bottom line. Hope is the spark that ignites change. When we are hopeful, we can ignite positive change in the world. And then when you are hopeful, you will unleash your potential and live the best version of yourself. So I encourage you to be hopeful and to watch out and get that red flag way up high if you start feeling like you're sinking down. It's going to happen. It's natural. But when it does, choose to live with hope and choose to create change in the world from the hope that resonates within you. Now, I'd love to hear from you on some concepts about hope that you have or any stories that you'd like to share. And I encourage you this week to be hopeful, to guard your cocoon life if you need to create that cocoon, if hope is getting kind of challenged in your life. Be sure to nestle yourself into a really comfortable place where you can regain your hope. Find people that you can be with. Make sure your news feed is good, and also take one small action step every day to move towards that hopeful life that you desire and deserve to live. So I will be back next Friday for our Friday chats. Do check out, I have the other playlists on this channel. One is a podcast. There's some great podcasts, and you can check out those. And then the series videos will be coming up as we head into the next year. So have a great day, and I will see you next Friday.